16, 2011 marked the day we gathered together across the state in memory of Gabriel Myers and the right to informed consent. The right to be fully informed about the harmful effects of psychiatric medication and the right to be fully informed about alternative treatment. Gabriel Myers was a 7-year-old boy who was denied that right while in foster care. He was on a powerful cocktail of psychiatric drugs, some of which carried the FDA warning of suicidal thought. On April 16, 2009, Gabriel allegedly hanged himself in the home of his foster parents in Margate, Florida. Hundreds of individuals came together on this night to stand up for your rights and the rights of all of us. International Civil Rights Attorney John Whitehead, Pinellas County Sheriff Jim Coates, former Florida foster care child Sophia Vera, Pastor John Donaldson, and several visiting ministers, as well as children and nonprofit leaders, shared a moment of silence in Gabriel's memory and in the memory of all Florida foster care children who have tragically died while on psychiatric medication.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And so we have the responsibility to protect our children. My slogan is, there is another way.
I heard the first gentleman that came up tonight, he was speaking about other alternatives besides the medication that they're putting our children on. And what came to my mind is, you know, I work with Little League and also with the children at church. I did this for a number of years. And what I find with children, if we just be patient with them and show them love and respect, and that goes a long way with the child.
Now they will tell you that there's somewhere between 7 or 8 deaths that occur every day as a result of prescription drug abuse. But I would dare say that it's probably closer to 10. Because some of the medical examiners, and they're starting to get up to speed on this, but some of the medical examiners throughout the state, I don't want to say they don't do a thorough medical an autopsy, but they fail to specifically take the time and the effort to link the death to, for instance, prescription drugs, and we know there's a lot of other deaths that occurred as a result of abuse of prescription drugs that the medical examiners aren't specifically attributing the death to. So as time goes on, and I think these medical examiners are starting becoming more and more aware of this acute problem and their reports.
My mother was homeless after my father left her, so I was told. I entered foster care and began an on and off 8-year run of being moved from foster parent to group homes, and institutions. I remember thinking I couldn't trust anyone and feeling very angry. The first time I was administered a psychiatric drug, I was 11 years old, and I remember thinking of very strange things. I began to feel an intense discomfort in my neck. I couldn't satisfy my hunger or sympathize anymore. The FDA lists side effects such as apathy, irritability, weight gain, and depression for the prescriptions I was on. And my behavior exhibited each and every one of those side effects. The psychiatrist changed my prescriptions at least 5 times in a 6-year period. I felt everything from sedated and shaky to sweaty, anxious, and impulsive. I acted everything from mute and zoned out to bouncing off the walls and unpredictable. What happened with Gabriel Myers and so many other foster children like he and I is tragic and enough to make people wonder how these tragedies can be prevented. Collectively, we need to continue to contact our legislators and let them know the negative impact these drugs have on children who are in state care and also those who are not in state care. I encourage you to watch a documentary film called Generation RX. It exposes the overdrugging of our youth with psychiatric drugs and says that pharmaceutical companies make $133,000 a second from these types of drugs. It brings to light many things that are appalling and otherwise you may never even hear about. I am lucky to be here and help make a difference. Each of you have a chance to also. Please join me in spreading awareness about the harms of these types of drugs and that there are alternatives.
John Whitehead is an attorney and author who has written, debated, and practiced widely in the area of constitutional law and human rights. He is the director of the Rutherford Institute. The Rutherford Institute is one of the nation's premier civil liberties organizations. Widely recognized as one of the nation's most vocal and involved civil liberties attorneys, Whitehead's approach to civil liberties issues has earned him numerous accolades and accomplishments. His work touches at the heart and soul of what makes our communities ours. He brings to life the rights and the justice that is inherent to each and every one of us. Please welcome Mr. John Whitehead.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here on this important subject. Gabriel Myers' suicide, largely believed to be inspired by an overprescribed cocktail of psychiatric drugs, is a preventable yet common occurrence in America. In fact, it happens, as our previous speaker said, on a daily basis. The negligence of those who prescribe such drugs is sadly an increasingly regular phenomenon, spurred on by the lobbying efforts of the incredibly powerful pharmaceutical companies who wield tremendous influence over our politicians, both state and federal. The overprescription of psychiatric drugs is one of the most severe issues plaguing America's children today, especially within foster homes and residential treatment centers. While the issue of overprescription is a serious one, it calls attention to even larger issues affecting our youth today, including family instability and poverty. Many children are not given a voice, and despite the best efforts of child advocates such as CCHR, the sound of those who are vocal is often drowned out by the dollars of the drug industry and the demands of its high-powered lobbyists. Now is the time, before another child takes its life, for us to add our voices to the matrix of sound and speak out loudly about what we see happening.
So the call to action tonight that I would like to ask you all to do, each and every one of you, is very similar to what Mr. John Whitehead said, is that each and every one of you contact Citizens Commission on Human Rights of Florida and learn the facts. Find out the information about the risks on the psychiatric drugs. Find out about the existence of alternatives. Find out as many facts as you can. It also has information on how to become a guardian for a foster care child. It's a volunteer position with the state of Florida. And the guardian can actually speak up for the interests of the child. And you as an educated individual, an advocate who knows the harms and risks of these drugs and knows about the existence of alternatives and medical testing to find out any potential underlying physical cause, you can actually save a life. So that more tragedies like the one of Gabriel Myers and the hardships that Sofia Vera and children like her went through can be prevented. Our promise to all children continues and is steady and strong, that we are here and we continue to be here to protect their rights. We continue to ask you to join us in our work and in our preparation for April 2012, when we shall have a Children's March for Children across the state, ending that evening in a statewide vigil. You are needed, and you do make a difference.